In the heart of Africa's wild paradise, the Maasai Mara, the setting sun bore witness to the end of an era. The legendary lion, Scarface, took his final breath. He wasn't just a lion. He was the most famous lion in the world, a ruler, a warrior, and a living legend. But how did one lion become a global icon? This is the story of Scarface, the undisputed king of the Maasai Mara. Scarface was not born with glory. His journey to the throne began with blood, sweat, and survival. In his youth, Scarface was known for his fiery aggression and unshakable courage. He often picked fights with lions much larger and stronger than himself, and more often than not, he won. It was during one of these battles that he earned his iconic mark. A deep slash tore across his eye, leaving a permanent scar. From that day forward, the world would know him as Scarface. But Scarface was never alone. Alongside his three brothers, Marani, Sikio, and Hunter, he formed one of the most feared coalitions in lion history. Together, they were known as the Four Musketeers. By the time they were just 4 years old, their manes had grown thick and black, a sign of maturity and dominance. Their presence alone struck fear into any rival lions who dared to cross their path. In October of that year, the Musketeers made their move. Their target, the legendary Marsh Pride, then ruled by two powerful males, Claude and Romeo. For Romeo, the sight of the four young warriors charging was too much. He abandoned the pride, later seen scavenging and fighting hyenas for scraps. Claude, however, stood his ground. The battle was fierce. Dust, roars, and blood filled the air. But in the end, the Four Musketeers claimed victory. The Marsh Pride was theirs. For the next 2 years, they solidified their rule, siring cubs and expanding their empire. In 2013, Scarface's story nearly came to a tragic end. In a conflict with herders, a bullet ripped through his stomach. Most lions would not have survived such a wound. But Scarface was no ordinary lion. Wildlife veterinarians rushed to his aid, operating in the wild. Against all odds, Scarface survived. But this event changed everything. The herders continued pushing livestock into musketeer territory, bringing danger closer and closer. The four brothers eventually abandoned the Marsh Pride and moved deeper into the Maasai Mara, settling in the Paradise Plains. Here, their reign continued. They hunted buffalo and hippos under the cover of night, patrolled territories stretching over 100 square kilometers, and expanded their legend even further. Among the four, Scarface stood out, not just because of his scar, but because of his fearlessness. He wasn't afraid of crocodiles, often crossing rivers alone, ignoring the snapping jaws that lurked beneath the waters. He was aggressive in battle, yet gentle with his cubs. Despite his rough exterior, Scarface often allowed the young lions to climb over him, tug at his mane, and play with his tail. He was a warrior and a father. But even kings cannot fight time. By October of 2019, Scarface's body began to show the weight of age. His teeth were broken, his black mane had faded, his nose turned coal-black, his lips sagged, and his body weakened. Everyone believed his time was almost up. Any young lion could have ended him. But then, the world changed. During the COVID-19 pandemic, tourist lodges in the Mara shut down. Grass grew tall, covering much of the land. For months, no one saw Scarface. Many feared he had died. And then, he returned. Thin, frail, but still walking, still defying the odds. By June 2020, Scarface was seen again, this time barely able to move. He was weak, starved, and exhausted. Nearby, a group of young lions spotted him. Any one of them could have attacked, but they didn't. It was as if even they recognized the greatness before them. In one final act of defiance, Scarface dragged himself across 25 kilometers, back to the very land where he was born. And it was there, in his homeland, that the king finally laid down to rest. Scarface was more than a lion. he was a symbol of raw power, survival, and resilience. With his brothers, he ruled some of the most iconic prides in the Mara, the Marsh, Paradise, Serena, and Recaro. His dark mane, his battle scars, and his fearless heart made him unforgettable. His dark, flowing mane, piercing, fierce gaze, and the deep, unforgettable scar across his face made him not just a lion, but a living legend. He was a predator, a protector, and a king whose presence commanded respect across the vast plains of the Maasai Mara. Scarface faced crocodiles in rushing rivers, battled rival lions over territory and pride, survived injuries that would have ended lesser lions, and nurtured his family with patience and strength. Every step he took carried the weight of his experience. Every roar echoed with authority, and every glance reminded all who saw him of the power and majesty that nature could produce. Even in moments of weakness, he displayed courage that inspired awe, a cunning intelligence that ensured survival, and a heart that protected those he loved. Scarface's life was a testament to the endurance of spirit, the relentless will to survive, and the unbreakable bond between a king and his kingdom. Even after his passing, his story continues to inspire. Conservationists study his life to understand lion behavior. Wildlife enthusiasts travel across continents to witness the lands he ruled. And visitors from around the world remember the aura of strength, fearlessness, and wisdom that Scarface embodied. His legacy is more than the tales of battles or survival. It is a reminder that courage, intelligence, and heart can carve a name into the very soul of the wild. Scarface proved that true kings are measured not just by strength, but by their resilience, leadership, and the respect they earn in life. This is the story of Scarface, the undisputed, unmatched, and unforgettable king of the Maasai Mara, a lion whose shadow still lingers across the plains, whose courage still echoes in the rustling grass, and whose spirit will forever roam the savannah. If you enjoyed this tale of bravery, power, and legacy, hit that like button, share it with friends, and let us know in the comments which wildlife legend you want to hear about next. Because legends, real legends, they never truly die, and the story of Scarface will live on for generations to come. This was the story of Scarface, the undisputed king of the Maasai Mara.